Play around with that reflection. Give it some kind of an environment in which to exist. And let me show you some examples of what people have done in the past as far as this finished project goes. This can you will be compositing it in. You don't need to photograph a can. You've already got the can cut out. So the very first part of the assignment you've already got done. So I showed you this one at the very beginning of class, and you all figured out what had been added. Let's take a look through some other examples. So what do you think was added in this one? Okay, I'll give you a hint. It was always the same can. But yes, there was a shadow added in. You can, the shadow's maybe a little bit harsh. It's a fairly soft light, it looks to be, but the reflection has been added. And because this is a fairly reflective granite surface, it's a fairly sharp-edged reflection that they've put in. If the surface you're putting it on doesn't need a reflection, well, then don't put in a reflection. Here's an example where somebody put it on a piano, which I'm sure you get in a lot of trouble for, putting a wet can on a piano. But you'll also notice that they've changed the lighting on it a little bit. It's backlit. Everything is kind of darkened down a little bit. Like, it's a very bright can, but they put some darkening on it. They could have done a bit more of a contact shadow. It looks like it's floating a little bit on the surface there, but overall, it's pretty good. The light is coming from this direction. You got a little bit of brighter here, a little bit of darker there. So overall, pretty good job. Here it is sitting on a windowsill, kind of balanced a little bit precariously. And notice that the lighting is now coming from the opposite direction. This side is a little bit lighter. This side is a little bit darker. Here's the window, shadow here. A little bit of a shadow behind it as well. So they've kind of darkened it in so it looks like it's sitting on that window ledge there. Somebody holding on to a can, just carrying it as though, they're enjoying the power of the can. What's going on here? Anybody know? It's not bad. It got scaled. And if we look at the can itself, which is hanging out here. Okay, it is on the can layer, and there's the edge of the layer mask, and there's the edge of the can. Now, when you scale something, we know that it gets a little bit softer, right? So if you scale a layer with the layer mask attached, they both get scaled down, they both get a little bit softer, and where they start to mismatch on the edge, you're going to get a little bit of stuff showing through. What do you do about that? Well, you've got a layer mask right here. What if you took a paintbrush, some black paint, 100% opacity, and just painted it out? So when you scale something that you put a layer mask onto, you may find that you start seeing noticeable little edges. Now here's a cute little trick. Remember when you're painting, if you do a shift click, it'll jump in a straight line. Let's see, I can't do a straight line anymore. Same thing over here. I could do a click, and if I do a shift click at the bottom, boink, it jumps between them. Or maybe you don't know how far it needs to go. If you need to pull in a straight line, if I do a click and a drag, and again, if I've been drinking heavily or too much coffee, I can't do a straight line unless I click, then hold down the shift key, and as I pull down, it doesn't matter how drunk I am, it'll always go in a straight line. So if you have something that you know is horizontal, click at the top, hold the shift key, and drag straight down. Doesn't matter if you go off the edge, it'll always go perfectly straight for you. Just saying. Think about scale as well. Is this a tiny San Pellegrino can, or are those giant lemons? Scale could be off just a little bit there. But, overall, lighting looks pretty good, reflection looks pretty good. Think about where you're focusing. This can is nice and sharp. And look at that, yay, can. Reflection's pretty sharp. The table that's sitting on, this is the front edge of a glass round table. It's focused here. The can is about the same distance as these little legs here, which are out of focus, suggesting that the can at that distance should also be out of focus. So think about focus as well. If they had manually focused here, that would have looked just fine. And you can also see there's that little edge around the can. So same deal, do a click, hold the shift key, and down it goes. What else? Oh, this is just a nice, plain, simple one. There's a stone, tile wall in the back, a little granite countertop. You can see a reflection of the wall, the tiles in the granite. Is there anything weird about the way this reflection is?
Should it be no reflection?
Yeah, there's a reflection of the tiles, which made sense when the can wasn't there. Once you put the can in, well, you would see. Yeah, you wouldn't see through the can. The reflection there shouldn't be. So think about that kind of stuff as well. What would you see? But the shadow looks pretty good. Like, you see the light is coming from this direction. They've done a little bit of darkening around there, kind of lightened the side of the can, darkened that side. So overall good, just kind of forgot about that little reflection part. Think about the angle that the can was photographed at and make sure you match that angle. Like here, as we said, we're looking straight across at the top of the can. We know that because it's flat. We're kind of looking downwards at the bottom of the can. We know that because it has this curve. We're really looking downwards at this table way more than the can. Like if the can was sitting on this table, you're looking down on the table, you would be looking down on the top of the can as well. So it kind of feels like the can is leaning backwards, and maybe the back edge of the can was like jammed right into the table itself. It's also a little bit large. And they put some rings down here, which is kind of a neat idea, except that rings usually come up lighter on furniture. Plus, we're looking sideways at the can. This would be a very slight oval. And the rings would also be very slight ovals, but these are circles. So think about perspective. What angle are you looking at the product? What angle should you be looking in the photograph? And make sure you take time to do it properly. Don't just in the morning before you head out to class, grab a photograph of your dorm room. And can you find the can in there? There it is. Okay? So give yourself time to do a proper job on it. They used a blend, I know, right? So we'll just close that right down. So make sure you give yourself enough time to do it.